Hi everyone. Today we'll discuss about the SDLC process. So today we'll discuss about the SDLC process and I'll explain about the terminologies also, some terminologies regularly what will be used in IT industry. So SDLC. What is SDLC? SDLC is, the definition is, it's a software development life cycle. Software development life cycle. So what exactly is SDLC means? It's a process used by the software industry to design, develop, and test software. So if you tell me the definition, it's a process used by software industry to design, develop, and test the software. So this is SDLC. Okay. So any company, if you take, 3 P's are very important, like, people, process, and product. People are important to do the process. Process is important to complete the project. Three P's are important. So first one is people. Second is process. Third is product or project. Why people are important? People are important because when people are there only, then you can follow some specific process. Process means if everyone is following different process, then you are not going to do you are not going to end up with anything. So everyone has to follow some specific process, and if everyone follows some specific process, ultimately your product or project will be completed. So 3 P's are very important. So I'll explain about SDLC, what all will be there in SDLC. So SDLC means generally you have all these phases: requirement phases, analysis phase, design phase, coding phase, testing phase, and deployment phase. Generally, requirement phase means we'll get requirements from the client. Yesterday, I told you that what is requirement and how requirements, we'll gather the requirements. Generally, in requirement phase, testing team won't be involved much. It will be involved, but the requirement phase is managed by product management. So in every phase, I'll explain you what is the role of QA engineers, what is the role of test engineers. So requirements phase, generally, product management will handle this. We'll get requirements in the form of requirement specification documents, which are nothing but FRS and SRS. FRS and SRS means functional requirement specification and system requirement specifications. Functional requirement specifications and system requirement specifications. So remember the terminology. What is FRS means functional requirement specification, and what is SRS means system requirement specifications. Generally, you can say what will be there in the requirements. Suppose I'll tell you an example. Like, few years back, we don't have SBI bank app application. We used to do online transaction. So SBI bank, it come up with we need an app application for the Android and iPhone users. It should be a mobile app, which should be more convenient compared to the online. I mean, compared to the browser application. So they come up with some specifications. SBI bank app. Okay. So they'll give all the requirements, whatever they want. That means what will be the major requirement in SBI bank app? They'll able to transfer money using mobile app. That should be the one of the requirement. Able to transfer money. Able to check balance. Able to check balance and able to add the other accounts. So all these are requirements of the SBI bank app application. So they come up with these requirements and they'll give it to the product management team. I need to have all these features and I need a bank app which should be very user friendly. So we have all these requirements will there. So what will be the role of QA engineers here. The role of QA engineers is whenever you get a requirement, so the requirements will be studied by both development team and testing team. So development team means in development team, we have one more team will be there, design team. And so in between the whatever I showed you in the picture, requirement, analysis, design, coding, analysis, design will be done by both development team and QA team. We have one more design team will be there. So in between requirement phase and design phase, there is one more subject is there, feasibility study. Generally, many people don't mention about it, but some companies do follow about this feasibility study. So feasibility study means generally all the people, I mean, generally testers are, some mid-level or low-level experienced people, they don't involve. But I just want you to know the process, like how it happens in the software industry. Feasibility study means production team, leadership team, and architectural team. They'll just sit. Production team, architectural team, and leadership team. They'll just sit and they'll discuss, whatever the requirements they got, whether it is feasible or not. That means whether we can able to develop it or not. So that, they can't, whenever you get the requirements, you are just promising to the clients that, okay, we'll do it. And at the end of the project, if you are not able to do it, then it will be a very bad reputation for your team and for your company also. So there is one more concept is there, feasibility study, which many companies follow. What they'll do is they'll see whether we can able to achieve this target, whether we are able to achieve these requirements or not. I'll tell you a simple example, for the feasibility study. Recently, ISRO, it successfully launched one mission. ISRO launched successfully one mission, okay? So ISRO must have done some feasibility study. The client, the client means here the government of India, whoever you can say, the client must have come up with one requirement. So what is the requirement? Can you send satellite to Earth orbit? Can you send satellite to Earth orbit? So in feasibility study, they said, yes, we can send Earth orbit, and they worked on it and they have successed it, and ISRO was successful. And one more client is there and he come up with another requirement. What is the requirement? Can you send passenger to moon with the help of satellites? Can you send passengers to moon? Anyone say, is it feasible? No. Feasibility study is probably in future it may be possible, but as of now, no. That means the requirement got failed in feasibility study itself. Feasibility study is very important. Many, top level companies, they do study on feasibility study. Probably, low level or mid level companies, they are not doing much study. Just product managers himself, they must be saying, okay, we'll do it. Probably this will take time. This won't take much time. But big level companies, they do have feasibility study, and they maintain separate teams also for the feasibility study. So once feasibility study is done, then you have design phase. Okay. Design phase is also very important. Generally, design phase means, some companies, they do have separate design team will be there, depend upon the product. Even the design people also, they comes under developers. Okay. Generally, design team means, just remember, development team will handle this. Development team will handle and produce the design documents. And produce the design documents. Okay. So what kinds of designs are there? We have, high level designs and low level design. What is high level design? All companies have high level design and low level design. Very few companies maintain DDS, that means detailed design specifications. So just remember what will be there in design means, just you remember that high level design, low level design, and mention about DDS also, which is nothing but detailed design specifications. Okay. So once you have requirement phase, you will know the requirements, product management will look into it. Then you have feasibility study will be there. After feasibility study, then design phase will be there. Design phase means development team will handle and they'll produce the design documents. So in high level design, you have different functionalities and technology. What will be there? What you will do in high level design? So what are the different technologies? Which technology you have to follow? Development team, they'll sell that to. If development team has expertise in Java, Python, and C++, or some technologies, they'll say, okay, Java will be suitable for this product. So technologies will be decided. And major functionalities, not sub-functions, major functionalities will be covered in the high-level design. Whereas if you come to the low-level design, subtasks, whatever high-level design, the subtasks will be there. And in DDS, like detailed design specifications, designs will be there. Suppose I'll tell you an example. I worked on media application. So every time, media application means the newspaper you can read online. So every day the designs will be changed because every day the articles will be changed. Every day the designs will be changed. So we have different categories. Like, if it is related to entertainment category, we should follow some specific design. If it is related to politics category, we should follow some specific design. So all these things will be there in the design documents. And we have separate design team also is there. Design team, will look into all these things and as per the requirements. And it's not only that articles has to be visible. The page should be like this, that where you can place your ads also. So that's also different design will be there. Ad should be placed here. Ad should be placed in different places. So all those designs will be there in these design documents. Okay. Once this design phase is done, then you have coding phase. Okay. Coding phase means generally, development people, they'll just start coding the application. Development team starts coding the application. Then comes our phase, testing phase. What you will do in testing phase? So generally you can say in software development life cycle, we have many models are there like waterfall model, V model, spiral model. But generally, if you take the overall picture of the SDLC life cycle, testing team people also involved from the requirement study, design phase, coding phase, what they will do in requirement phase. So requirement phase, generally, it will be all the requirements will be gathered by product management. You have BS also will be there, business analyst. So they'll gather all the requirements and they'll prepare an FRS and SRS documents. So they'll explain to the team. So in the team means we have development team is there and we have testing team also will be there. So they'll try to understand the requirements. Okay. So once they understand the requirements, so developer, they got some idea that we have to develop functions like this. So they have some print will be there. These design teams also, they'll give the designs, the application should look like this, should look like that. So what testing team will do? They'll prepare testing scenarios. When the developers, they start coding, they prepare testing scenarios and they come up with different test cases. That means the testing team, they don't sit ideally when development is going on, generally. So they start preparing test scenarios and they come up with test cases. So whenever the testing phase will come, QA team will validate the product. They'll validate the product and complete the test execution. Okay. So generally, how they will complete the test execution. So development will be done means one build one will be done. They'll give links, hyperlinks, they'll give one build as one hyperlink. Suppose, it's a build one. At the end of the hyperlink, they'll mention it as a build one and they'll give it to the testing team. So testers, they find some bugs and inform to the development. And they'll just inform the development team that these bugs are there. So they'll fix those bugs. And again, they'll give build two. Again, testers, they'll perform. The same thing they'll do. They'll find bugs, if any bugs are there, and inform. The same process till the product is bug free or defect free, you can say. Okay, uninformed development team. It will happen till you have all the bugs were resolved. It is a bug free or defect free product. So it goes like, build 1, build 2, build 3, everything, and till build n, it goes within the timeline. It has to be there, and it will be given to the customer. It will be released to the customer, and customer will see. Okay. So it's not that, this is the end. After the testing phase only, release will be there. Yeah, some products they'll do that after testing phase itself, release will be there. Then you have deployment phase. Generally, deployment phase is also important. Not every project, you need deployment phase. There are some small projects will be there. There are some major projects will be there. Not every project, you will be requiring deployment phase. I'll tell you a simple example why deployment phase is necessary. Suppose I have 2 products are there. I have one product is my mobile, and one product is AC thing. One product is mobile and one product is AC. I don't think, mobile, we don't need any help from the other people to operate the mobile. We don't need help. I mean, customers don't need help. Customers don't need help in operating. So there is no need to have a deployment phase for mobile. So it's released to the market, customers they'll use, that's it, completed. Whereas you come to the AC you can operate, but for installation, you need a support. We can't install AC by ourselves. So technical person has to come and he has to install AC. That is nothing but deployment phase. You understood the difference between the products, like which kind of products, deployment phase is necessary. For installation, support will be there. So after installation, you can increase the temperature, you can decrease the temperature, you can keep in swing mode, all these things you can do. But for installation, support will be there. So the deployment phase is not required for every project. It depends upon the project or product you do, will go for this deployment phase. Okay. And after that, testing is done, deployment phase is done, then it will be on the live. Live means production environment. That means to the customers. So before that, we have 2 kinds of environment will be there. Pre-production environment and production environment. Just try to understand the terminology here. No need to buy hard anything. Just try to understand the concept. Pre-production environment. So pre-production environment means before releasing the product into the live, or before releasing the product in the market, they'll verify everything. So generally, it will be done by clients. Sometimes our team members also, if the client doesn't know much functionalities, they know the requirements, but they really don't know all the functionalities, how it works. Then company himself, they provide their employees to support the clients. So sometimes our team also will do, and they'll go to the client place and they'll perform testing, user acceptance testing. That's called user acceptance testing. Once client is satisfied, then he'll release the product into the market, which is nothing but production environment. I have seen, many clients, they have their own team, and, they don't trust our team, company's team. They have their own team. Companies, they'll develop the product or the project, whatever required by the client. And after the project is developed, client will have their own team and they'll perform testing. In many rare chances that, they'll ask for the company people also to support at the time of pre-production environment. But generally, clients also will have some separate set of people will be there, and they'll do all these things. If they have any doubts, again, they'll come to the people who developed it and who tested it. So in production environment means it is nothing but, live environment. I mean, it's already released in the market and the users will access it. Just try to understand what is pre-production environment, what is production environment, and all these things. So till now I have covered what is requirement phase. This is the first thing. And you have design phase, that is nothing but second. Coding phase, that is nothing but third one. Testing phase, that is nothing but fourth one. And you have deployment phase, which is nothing but fifth one. And last we have maintenance phase. Maintenance phase. Maintenance phase means like, generally we'll have some agreements. I'll explain you in layman terminology, like every day, whatever we do. We have purchased one product. Suppose you have purchased one washing machine and there will be warranty will be there. That means within 2 years, if you get any problem, they'll just come and they'll do it free service to you and they'll leave. That is warranty. Guarantee will be there, that's a different thing. Warranty will be there, that is a different thing. So the same thing, the clients, they'll have some agreements will be there with the customers. I mean, whatever, after it's going to live, they'll have some agreement, which is called service level agreement. Just understand the terminology. I'm again telling, no need to buy hard anything. Just understand the concept and just understand the terminology, what it means and what this means. That understanding is very important for daily usage of, these terminologies, if you use daily in the IT, it will be helpful. So service level agreement means client or customer will have agreement with the company. What is service level agreement? That means if they'll get any problem within 2 years, the company will take care. Client or customer will have agreement with development company. Okay. So maintenance phase means generally this is what it happens. So, it's already in the live. Many people are using. Till the developed company, they'll have they'll do this warranty kind of thing. They'll do with the help of service level agreement. Within 2 years, if you have any issue, then we will take it. After 2 years, it's not the responsibility of the company because the agreement is only for 2 years. So that's what happens in maintenance phase. Okay. So I explained about the different processes, like what is requirement phase and what is design phase, what is coding phase, what is testing phase, and what is deployment phase. Next, we'll see what is the role of our QA engineers in all these things. And before going into that, I just want to give you some more terminology and some more examples, like what is bug first. Generally, many people say, what is bug? Bug is nothing but some deviation in the functionality behavior. Okay. Which will be found out by testing team. Deviation in the functionalities or whatever is. Deviation in the functionalities. Generally, bugs will be found by testing team. Found by testing team. Then you have one more thing is the hotfix. These are all interview questions. Just understand what is hotfix. Anyone heard about it? What is hotfix? The product or the project, it's already released in the live environment and customers were using it and clients were using it. If client found any issue after it is into live, okay? If client found any issue, that means hot. You remember, generally, if you get any these kind of thing, like, any complaint from the client, it's a major issue, right? It will be very hot. That means if clients found any issue, client found a issue and informs to development team and informs to develop team. And development team, they'll fix it. And they fix it. So this issue, testing team has not found it, and even the developers also has not found it. But whatever the issue coming from the client, if development team is fixing, that is called hot fix. Just understand the terminology here. Hot fix means issue found by the client and fixed by the development team is called hot fix. Okay. Typically for P1 types, development will provide P1 means high priority issues. Hot fixes will be provided. Okay. For P1 types, development team will provide the hot fix. For P1 types, if it is very, urgent one, very high priority issues, the development team will provide the hot fixes. So till now it is clear what we will do in all the phases. Any doubts till now? And we have different models will be there, and I'll explain you the different models. What are all the models we follow? Why SDLC? Anyone has any doubts here? In any phase? Okay. If no one has doubt also, they can say that I can continue.
What is FRS and SRS? Will you please explain it clear?
FRS and SRS means the requirements, how you know the requirements. Generally, I told you, SBI bank, they'll just come up with some requirements. See, my customers, with the help of bank app, they has to transfer money. They has to able to check the balance. They has to make some payments. They has to make bill payments. All these things has to be done with the help of bank app. They'll just tell this in a one word, and they'll give it to, and they'll explain to the production management team. So what this product management team or VA team, they'll prepare some documents about it. What are all the requirements? Those documents are called functional requirement specifications and system requirement specifications. These are all the terminology you need to remember. Generally, in requirements means, general requirement means how you know requirements. You have documents will be there. Word documents will be there. Hundreds of pages of documents will be there, which will be given to you. When you join a new project, they'll give some documents. It's not like paper they'll give you, PDF format or some Word format. They'll give you the document. They want you to study. So in that, all the requirements of the product will be there. Acha, these are the requirements and these are the functionalities need to be covered. All those details will be there. So these will be developed by product management team, and those documents are called as functional requirement specification documents and system requirement specification documents. Okay. Some people call it as a BRS also, business requirement specifications. Depends upon their these things. Okay. But everyone is same almost. Business requirement specifications. So in requirement phase, these will be there. Okay. So next, I want you to go with the waterfall. So in SDLC also, we have different models will be there. We have waterfall model, we have spiral model, and we have V model. I'll explain you the difference between what is the waterfall model and what is the spiral model, and what is the V model. So this is waterfall model, this is spiral model, and this is V model. Okay. So till now you are clear, right? What happens in requirement phase? Analysis means we'll just analyze the requirements, and design phase, coding phase, testing phase, deployment phase. And I explained you about maintenance phase also. Deployment means generally, in deployment also, many people combine it maintenance, but many companies, they do maintain, because I have seen in many, especially, service-based industries like HCL and TCS, many maintenance products will be there. That means the product must have been developed long back. But, the companies will have agreement, to maintain that product for 10 years, 20 years. If anyone is working in the maintenance product, their life will be very good, because there is no new things will be there. Everything will be done. You just have to maintain. If you are getting any issues, you just have to look into those issues and you have to provide those details. I mean, there is nothing new will be there to develop the things, or nothing new scenarios will be there to test, because everything will be done. You just have to maintain. So if anyone want, very cool life, no much work, they should go to the maintenance projects. Their work will be very less. But it's not advisable. You just go to the projects where most happening things will be there, where new things will be developed, where new testing will be done. There the learning scope will be more. But if you are working in maintenance projects, the learning scope will be very less. It again depends upon your case. You learn something, and with that subject only you can survive for 8 years, 10 years, many years, if you are in the maintenance project. But if you are in a new project, the learning scope will be more. That means you can learn the new functionalities, you can learn new technologies, new things. So maintenance phase will be there. Okay. So now I'll explain about the waterfall model. So waterfall model. I explained this user requirement specification, system requirement. Everything will be done. If one phase is completed, then only it will go to other phase. That means user requirement specification is completed. Then we'll go to the system requirements. Then we have high level design. Then we have low level design. Then coding will be there. Then testing will be there. And after that, delivery will be there. Okay. The same, what I explained in SDLC process, the same phases, stage by stage. One phase will be completed, go to other phase. The other phase will be completed, go to other phase. So all these things. I'll explain about what is the advantages of waterfall model. Okay. I'll explain about the advantages, why we have to go for the waterfall model. There are many advantages will be there. The quality of the product will be good. Why the quality of the product will be good? Quality of the product will be good because we have specific requirements will be there. Only we'll focus on those requirements. No disturbance will be there. Once you are very clear of the requirements, it will be very easy for the developer team and the tester team to work. Developer team, they can develop the code because they have clear-cut requirements. And testing team, they prepare test scenarios and everything. So they'll work coolly. That's why the quality of the product will be good. Since requirement changes are not allowed, chances of finding bugs will be less. That's what. Why quality of the product will be good? Bugs will be less because requirements changes are not allowed. Requirements changes are not allowed. So bugs will be less. If frequently requirements were changing, then there will be miscommunication will be there, and there will be confusion will be there for the developers and the testers because they have developed something previously and new requirement got. If someone was on leave, and he worked, he was on leave for 1 week, and again he comes up, there is requirement change will be there. He will be confused. Probably he has some other thing in his mind and he develops some other thing, which leads to, more bugs, all these things. So once the requirements were freezed, everyone is working on the requirements, there are chances that bugs will be very less. Okay. And generally in waterfall, what happens is, majority of the companies, here also companies, some companies will be flexible and some companies which are very budget constrained, testing phase will come at the end. I mean, after coding, testing phase will come. So what they'll do is they'll hire the testers at later stages, like whenever coding was completing, that time they'll hire the testers. So investment will be less. Initial investment will be less because they don't hire, at the time of user requirement specification itself, they don't hire the testers. They just hire the testers after coding phase, and they want you to test the product. They'll just give some documents. They just explain about the functionality and they want you to test the things. In that way, initial investment will be less. And it is preferred for small projects where requirements were freezed. Not for every project it is suitable. So waterfall is helpful for small projects. small projects where requirements were freezed. So this is the advantage of waterfall model. Then we'll see what is the disadvantages. So whatever the advantages, the same can be made it as a disadvantage also. So requirement changes were not allowed. That means it's not dynamic, not according to the market. Every time, market will change, new products will come. But you have requirements are freezed, then, you really can't compete with the other products. So requirement changes are not allowed. That is one disadvantage. And if there is defect in the requirement, that will be continued in later phases also, because requirements were freezed. If there is defect in requirements, that will be continued in later phases. So drawback, because once requirements were freezed, you really can't change the requirement. If there is defect in requirement, then it's it will be continued. So total investment will be more because time taking for rework on defect. Suppose there is defect is there and you gave the final product, and if you find defect, again you have to come from the starting. So in that way, investment will be more. So total investment is more because time taken for rework is more. Time taking for rework on defects, especially defects, is more. Testing will start after coding. This is also one of the drawbacks because testing team will have less time to understand the requirement and all these things. So the performance will go down because after coding, if testers are hired, they need to give some time to understand the functionality, to understand the test scenarios, and to come up with the test cases. So these are some of the disadvantages of waterfall model. Okay, this is one model, and we have one more model is the spiral model. I'll explain about the advantages and disadvantages of spiral model also. So spiral model is this is one release. I mean, this is like one release. Suppose you have 10 requirements will be there and you release the product with the 10 requirement. So one release will happen. From here, again, you have 5 requirements. It will start from here. So like this is one release. Okay, this is one. This is one. That means 10 requirements you gave the product. Again, you have 5 products. From 10 products, it will start. And again, it will be released with 15 products. So this is how the spiral models will come. Generally, spiral model will be useful where the dependency will be there upon the previous modules or previous products, whatever you can say. I can say, example. Suppose in Gmail, spiral model. Suppose in Gmail, you want to develop a sent folder. Okay. I'll tell you just example so that you will understand. You developed a sent folder. We have, after composing mail, you will send and it will be in a sent folder. You have what all will be there in Gmail actually. Login, inbox, compose, login, inbox, compose. All these are different modules. Login is a one module, inbox is an one module, sent, receive mail, sent folder will be there. Then you have receive mail will be there. So I want to develop a sent folder. But how can I verify, my sent folder is developed perfectly or not? it is depend upon the compose mail. When I compose mail and when I click the send, then only I can verify whether the mail was sent, so that I'll check in the sent folder. That means there is dependency is there. Sent folder depend on the compose mail. So for these kind of requirements, we'll go for the spiral model. Okay. And each and every spiral, we are releasing a new model. Generally, it will be preferred by product-based companies, because product-based companies, mostly, one module will be dependent on the other. So just, spiral model is just remember this example so that you'll easily remember. Spiral model means it will be dependent on other module. So what are the advantages of spiral model? We'll just explain. The advantage of spiral model is iterative model. That means if one requirement, missing in one release, so it can be added in other release, which will be fast. Generally, spiral model, it overcomes the drawbacks of waterfall model. We follow spiral model wherever there is dependency on the modules. Okay, I'll just explain about what is spiral model, then I'll give you advantages and disadvantages. First of all, spiral model is iterative model. I'll explain advantages later. First point is it's an iterative model. We have advantages compared to waterfall model because we can add the requirements. We'll use where dependency on the modules will be there. So dependency on the modules. Then in every cycle, new software will be released. So new software in every release. That means after every release, you can check the functionalities and everything. And if you find any functionality is missing, then you can add that in next release. New software in every release. Okay. And the software will be released in multiple versions. So it is called version control model. That means if you see here, so one spiral, I'll give it as a version 1. This one spiral, I can release it as a version 1. Then we have version 2. Okay. Different versions. So the final version, we can give it to the client action. So it is also called version control. Okay. Spiral model is called version control. Released in multiple versions. So it's called version control model. Just understand this terminology and try to remember what is version control model. Just tell them it's a spiral model is called version control model. Okay. And I'll tell you the advantages. Spiral model is iterative. I told you the advantages, why it is iterative. So one more advantage is testing is done in every cycle before going to the next cycle. So testing is done from testing point of view in every cycle. Before going to next cycle. Customer will get to use the software for every module. That means every release, we are releasing one version. So customer, he'll have confidence, acha, these many functionalities were covered. So in the next cycle, I can give these functionalities. So this will also develop based on the previous experience. He'll have confidence and he'll be able to test everything. That is the advantage of spiral model. Customer will get to use the software for every module. The requirement changes are allowed after every cycle before going to the next cycle. That is also advantage. You really can't wait, till the release. So requirement changes are allowed. So these are some of the advantages of spiral model. Next, we'll see the disadvantages. Advantages are there. We have some disadvantages also will be there. So requirement changes are not allowed in between the cycle. That is disadvantage. And every cycle of spiral model looks like waterfall model. That means every cycle you feel like you are covering everything: requirement phase, analysis phase, design phase. For every version you are following all the waterfall model. That is also a disadvantage, because sometimes it is time consuming. Requirement changes are allowed after release version, not in between. Okay, so what are the disadvantages? Requirement changes are not allowed in between the cycle. That means it has to complete. Once the cycle is complete, then only you can give new requirements. And every stage, every cycle looks like a waterfall. Every cycle looks like waterfall. So these are some of the advantages of spiral model and disadvantages of spiral model. Okay. Next, I'll tell you about the prototype. What is called prototype? Understand the terminology here. Just understand the concept. What is prototype? Prototype means if client will come up with some requirements, but he is not very sure, how he will develop the product. He really don't have that confidence, don't have that understanding also, how it will be developed and everything. So for that, generally what design team and the development team they'll do is they'll just give you the blueprint, how it looks like. Blueprint means nothing but you take anything. Suppose you take an apartment. So first it will be on the paper. Or some people they'll prepare toys kind of things, how apartment looks like, where the garden will come, where the swimming pool will come. They'll just give you in a form of toys. That is nothing but blueprint. Even if you go to the mobile shops, they'll give you some dummy mobile, to see and look how it looks and how it performs. Dummy mobile. It won't really work. The mobile, really can't work. But it's a dummy, it's a blueprint. So blueprint is nothing but a prototype. So they'll take the initial requirements. What they'll do is in a prototype model, initial requirements from the customer. They'll collect the initial requirements from the customer. Initial requirements from the customer. And they'll develop prototype. How it looks like. Prototype. Okay. And they'll give it to the customer. Whatever the prototype is given, the customer, he'll understand the design. He'll understand, what kind of coding will be there. He'll understand the design. Prototype model is also important. Many companies, they follow prototype model also. I mean, prototype is not a separate thing, but, some clients, they prefer, they want some blueprint, they want some prototype to get, better understanding how the final product will look like. So those kind of projects, prototype model they use. So they'll understand the design, what kind of coding will be there and testing will be there. I just want to understand what is prototype means. We are not going in depth into the prototype and everything. So just understand prototype is nothing but a blueprint. And I'm telling about the module. What is module? We have different modules will be there. It's just for terminology I'm explaining you. What is module? Module is nothing but a piece of software which contains some functionalities. Module is, just understand what is module. Module is nothing but a piece of software which contains some functionalities. So module. So what are the different kind of modules? All these are modules. Login is one module. Inbox is one module, compose is one module, send mail is one module, receive mail is one module. All these are different modules. What is need? Every module has different, different functionality will be there. All these are software only. Module is nothing but a piece of software which contains some functionalities. Login has separate functionality. Inbox has separate functionalities. It's a piece of software. But all these combines only, different modules combines only, the project will be done. Okay. So project means it's not project. Project contains n number of modules. So each module has a piece of software which contains some functionalities. At the end, the Gmail app contains all these modules. So Gmail app is a project. But in this project, you have all these modules will be there. Just understand. The same case with banking. You have login module will be there. You have login module will be there. I'll explain about the module. Login module, you have check balance module will be there. Just try to understand what is module means. That's why I'm giving you these many examples. Fund transfer module will be there. Then you have request statement module will be there. Then you have add payee module will be there. Okay. So these kind of modules will be there. So all these modules, n number of modules equal to one project. So this is the module. Just understand the terminology. Prototype means, just remember, it's a blueprint. Toys. Apartment means you can't see the apartments. They'll show you on the paper. But for better understanding, they'll prepare a doll kind of thing. They'll prepare, some model kind of thing, and they'll show it. So these many apartments will be there, swimming pool will be there, garden will be there. They'll show in a form of toys also. That is nothing but blueprint. Just for your understanding, I'm saying prototype means, just remember, toy. So it will be developed into a final product, then the apartment will be constructed. Module means piece of software which contains some function. These are all the interview questions. That's why I'm mentioning again. And you have one more model is there, last model, V model. And I'll explain about the V model and we'll close it for today. V model. It is also called VV model. Actually, V model, yesterday I explained, a little bit about the V model. V model is nothing but verification and validation. So what is V model? V model is also important. Specifically, V model means, the main advantage of V model is in every phase we conduct testing. In every phase, from QA point of view, in V model, in every phase, we conduct testing. I'll show you how V model looks and I'll explain about the things. This is a spiral model and this is the V model. So V model means verification and validation. So in verification requirement phase, we have all this BRS, CRS, URS. The terminology will be different, but all these are requirement specification documents. We have high level design, low level design will be there, coding will be there, and unit testing, integration testing, system testing, user acceptance testing. I told you in every phase testing will be there. So BRS, URS, how can the testing will be done? So testing means, here I am telling about static testing and dynamic testing. I'll explain about what is static testing and what is dynamic testing. Static testing. Okay. Static testing means, what is static? The name itself indicates that static means we are doing testing on the documents, not on the software. So testing the project related documents. Project related documents. Nothing but static testing. And here we use three methods. How we'll test the documents, like, review, we'll review the documents, we'll walk through the documents, and we'll inspection. So this is nothing but static testing. So in V model, in BRS, SRS, high level design, low level design, coding, in verification, in left side, verification is there, validation will be there. But QA role, like testers role doesn't come in verification. Of course, testers also can do, but all these things, all these static testing will be done by the BA team, product management team, even developers also, they'll do all this, static testing. That means they'll review the document, they'll just go through the documents. If they find any mistakes in the documents, they'll just discuss about those issues. So all this is also called testing. That is static testing. And again, we have unit testing is there, integration testing is there, system testing is there, user acceptance testing is there. Unit testing, integration testing is a white box testing. So unit testing and integration testing is done by developers, not testers. Because in unit testing and integration testing, we'll be testing the code, not the application. So code testing will be done by the developers. Just remember, white box testing means it will be done by developers. Once integration testing is done, then they'll do the application to testing, where we'll do system testing and user acceptance testing. This black box testing is done by testers. So this verification, the static testing will be done by the product management team and everything. Unit testing, integration testing, white box testing is done by developers. Validation, in the validation phase, system testing and user acceptance testing will do black box testing, which is done by the testers. So I told you about the static testing. Then I'll tell you about what is dynamic testing. Dynamic testing. Dynamic testing is testing the actual software. Okay. And one more thing is static testing will be done by anyone, need not be a product management team. Sometimes, some other people also, they just want to know about the requirements. They'll just review it. And if they find anything is missing or anything needs to be added, they'll tell. So anyone can do static testing. For dynamic testing, only developers and testers will do testing the actual software testing. And in dynamic testing, we have different methods are there. Those are unit testing, and you have integration testing, and you have system testing, you have UAT, which is very important, user acceptance testing. UAT means user acceptance testing. User acceptance testing. Okay. So what we'll do? Unit testing. You are testing a piece of code. Is the code is correct or not? So QA team, testing team doesn't involve, which will be done by developers. Unit testing is done by developers. At the time of developing product, unit testing, developers only they do. Integration testing. That means you are integrating the different products or projects. That is also done by developers, whether they are able to integrate it correctly or not. So integration testing is also done by developers. These two, as I showed you, white box testing. Unit testing, integration testing comes under white box testing, which is done by developers. Come to system testing. Once the application is ready, they'll give it for testing. Here, application is ready for testing, not for the live. Application is ready. That means here you will execute all the test cases, whatever you prepared. Execute all the test cases, whatever you prepared. And you come up, you find any bugs, report to the developers. So our duty comes here in system testing. And user acceptance testing means generally testing team also involved in user acceptance testing, and clients also will be involved, end users along with testers. So who will do user acceptance testing? End users. End users along with the testers. Testers also will be involved. Testers they'll do and they'll give it to the end users. Even, end users also, they want to do testing. And sometimes, they sit along with the testing team to explain, to know the functionality and to come up with different scenarios. So end users along with the testers. User acceptance will be done. So this is about verification and validation. So I'll just explain about some more details. What is the advantages of verification validation? Why verification? So main thing is why we go for the verification model. It checks verification checks whether we are building the right product or not, because checks will be more. Documentation check will be there, functionality check will be there. So verification checks for the right product. Whether the product we are doing is right one or not, more checks will be there. Okay. Second thing is focus on documentation. So anyone can do. More focus will be there on the documentation, because all the left side, if you do, the documentation testing only is there, static testing is there. So focus on documentation is more. Focus on documents. Okay. Where we use static techniques. Focus on documents means static testing. Okay. Then validation. If verification checks is done, then we have validation checks. So validation checks means, again in validation also, we have see whether we are building the right product. So after verification is complete, we focus on the software. That is nothing but validation check. And I explain about what white box testing. Testing is done by developers. So verification is done before software is ready, and validation is done after software is ready. Just this point is important. Verification is done before software is ready, and validation is done after software is ready. I hope you understand the difference, why it is called verification and validation. Okay. The advantages is testing is involved in each and every case. Because we are doing static testing, we are doing dynamic testing. So testing is involved in each and every phase. That is the advantage. And the disadvantages are documentation is more, initial investment is more. Because initially only you need to have all the details, right? So that's why investment is more. Initial investment is more. Okay. So these are the some of the advantages and disadvantages of V model. Yeah. Left side is verification. So once verification is done, arrow marks going to validation. So in validation also, we have white box testing techniques will be there and black box testing techniques will be there. And left side, we have all the static techniques. So left side is a static. We'll do static testing from here. And from here, if you go, we go for the dynamic testing. And in dynamic testing, we have white box and black box techniques. Okay. So till now it's clear. Any doubts? Anyone? See, SDLC is important because you need to understand the concept, why SDLC is there. But generally, if you see presently, mostly companies were using 90%, more than 90%, I can say they are following agile methodology. But still, SDLC is important because many companies, they do have still SDLC projects. So it's better you people are familiar with both SDLC and agile process. And tomorrow we'll see agile methodology. Agile methodology is very important compared to SDLC. Why people are shifting from SDLC to agile methodologies, I'll explain it tomorrow. So if you have any doubts, then please let me know. We still have some time. Any queries? And once it is done, we can close the session. Okay. Thank you then.
Yes.
Have a nice day. We'll meet you tomorrow. And tomorrow I'll explain about the agile methodology. It's a very important class. Agile process is very important. So just don't miss the class tomorrow. Okay. Thank you. Bye.